Hello and thank you for pressing play. Welcome to A Beer with Bear or any other beverage. This is episode 82 featuring Ben 9K. Ben is a man of many talents. Most notably, he is a drummer for several great bands, both past and present, including the Rhythm Shakers, the Volcanics, the Toe Tags, and the Rezurex, to name a few. When he isn't hitting the skins, he is the co-founder of Dogula, a dog rescue clothing company. Frank, George, and I had the pleasure of sitting down with Ben to discuss how he found his way into multiple bands, his experiences in drumming, and management in the rap industry. Growing up in Stockton, California, touring the world, and the origin of Dogula, which he started with his partner. Ben is an old friend of mine and past guest. He had a fascinating and eventful life. I'll include links to his social media and Dogula in the episode description. Be sure to give him a follow and check out his merch to help rescue some pooches. Beer with Bear is available to listen to where podcasts are heard. Spotify, iTunes, just to name a few, Libsyn, and SoundCloud.com. If you like what you hear, please support the show and artists to come on by hitting subscribe, leave a rating, write a positive review, and tell your friends. While you're at, don't forget to like us on Facebook at Beer with Bear Pod, Twitter at Beer with Bear, and Instagram at Beer with Bear Podcast. That's right, due to some technical issues, we are no longer using the Beer with Bear Pod handle. The account's still up, but you want to follow us at Beer with Bear Podcast. There with the other socials, you'll find pictures, updates for upcoming episodes, and it's also the best way to contact us. We'd love to hear from you. Theme music by Chris Helking, mixing and post-production by Ryan Miles. Thank you very much and enjoy.
So no more Clark Griswold impressions, anybody?
No, you can still do them. I love a good Chevy Chase impersonation, whichever you want to call it. How are we looking at the video, Frank? Okay, so we are rolling. We are here with, are we going with Ben, Benny, Benjamin? We had this talk earlier. I called you Benny. He's like, why are you calling him Benny? I'm like,
no, because you call him Ben every single time. It's like, oh, we're going to meet Benny on Saturday. We see Benny on Saturday. It's like, who, Benny? I don't know you were cool like that with him.
I usually go by Ben.
Okay.
Ben is easiest, but Benny, I'll respond to pretty much anything.
Okay.
Yeah, hey, drummer.
Okay, well, it's typically Ben. I don't know why I said Benny, but I figure, I've known the guy since what?
We've known each other
close to 20 years?
Yeah,
How long?
It's got to be a while. Yeah. I moved to LA in 2007 and joined Rezurex the first time shortly after. So it was like 17 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's right. I think I met you at Psycho Sam's. Well, I met you before. Remember?
Sam's.
I hung out with you at Psycho Sam's barbecue he had when you guys played with that band from Hawaii.
Yeah.
Who were in the Speedos.
Yeah.
That's the Safari Sam's on Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah. I mean, when I first moved down here, it was still Safari Sam's was still open.
I used to like that place.
Key Club, Knitting Factory. It was all somebody's GoPro is running out of battery.
That was mine.
I recognize the GoPro running out of battery noise.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. You had a GoPro for the Toe Tag show I saw you at last.
I love GoPros. I have they're always attached to the drum set and stuff.
I felt bad because, Ed, that really tall guy, he kind of looks like Wolverine. He would say he had the chops. Well, he was at the last Toe Tag show, and he was standing right in front of the camera with his other friend who was very tall. And I told him, hey, camera there. I told him like twice. By the third time, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to stop.
Just let it happen.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not going to police it.
That's why I like having the GoPros. Like, you can just kind of like, I throw them up wherever. If they work, great. If they don't work, whatever. Like, it's a very low maintenance kind of like camera capture thing. So half the time they're blocked, or one of them falls or gets bumped into. Whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, it was it was driving me crazy because I guess the content creator in me was like thinking, "Oh, this is really gonna fuck up his cut later."
Really messing up the shot.
This is gonna.
I saw you doing that. I was like, "What is this guy's not? Think he's security? Like, what's going on?"
That's why I stopped after the second time.
And you were wearing all black, and you're like, "Why?"
It's true.
So-
Yeah. He's like, "Excuse me, sir."
Yeah, I did that. I did the hand. I did the hand and the point.
We're filming.
Yeah,
guys.
I did the hand and point. You know, I felt. You know, this is my friend Benny here.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's all good. Yeah, I try to film like most of the shows I play. It's like it's so weird, but it's almost like for lack of a better analogy, it's almost like sports, like watching game tape. Like I'll go back, especially when I'm first like joining a band or first starting to play with a new band. I'll film it, go back and watch the show and be like, okay, that worked, that didn't, this sounded weird, this didn't. It like helps me like learn a lot faster because I'm just constantly reviewing and going like, oh, that was like weird, or this was really good, oh, I should do more of this. Like it just makes it way easier. And again, they're like easy to port around, so I just got in the habit of it, just running them every time.
So if you see a GoPro blinking somewhere, it's probably yours.
It's probably mine. Yeah. And you can stand in front of it, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, unless I'm there.
Yeah, unless Bear's there, and then you need to.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. Yeah,
clear there.
It's kind of hard if you're doing everything yourself, though. You know what I mean? You might have like you never have a front angle unless like, you have a lot of time.
I always I'll throw like one in the front, like one at the front of the stage, and then usually one behind.
Oh, you got two?
Yeah, and I don't look at them before.
Yeah.
So it's just like then I get home and it's like a surprise. Like, is this one gonna look good or no?
It's like film.
I don't really know. Yeah, it's like film. Yeah, it's like carrying a bunch of disposable cameras around. I don't know what it's gonna be.
Awesome. So you mentioned, okay, so speaking of just concerts in general, you were at a concert last night. I saw you posting. It wasn't a GoPro. It was actually your camera. You were out.
I was out. You were being social.
Yeah, you're watching the show and not playing.
Yeah. We go. Erica, my partner, and we go to a lot of concerts. Like I already play a lot of shows, and then we're always out at shows. So last night we were out at the Regent. We were seeing this band, Bad Nerves. They're like this like garage power pop band from the UK, just absolutely killer. They're like Kevin from Rhythm Shakers introduced me to their record earlier this year, like emailed me out of nowhere, and he's like, dude, you got to listen to this album. And I was just immediately obsessed, but just really great. So we were out at that, and like Cheap Tissue opened up from LA. Like they'd kind of been on hiatus for a few years, so they were there. So yeah, we're just always, I'm either playing or like at a show. It's just like, you know,
what
I don't
style
sleep.
would you consider that band?
Bad Nerves?
Yeah.
I see them as I think they're like a power pop band to me, like garage, like a little garagey, but more of like a power pop band, like, which is why like I sent them around a bunch of friends, because, you know, power pop got there was like kind of a moment for it in the early 2000s, like Exploding Hearts and like, you know, the Pink Spiders signed to a major label and stuff like that. And then I feel like there weren't a lot of those bands for a while. So when he sent me that, I'm like, oh, it's that, like, cool, awesome. Like I love that style, and I hadn't heard a band like that in a long time.
I gotta say, I've never heard of, you said power pop?
Power pop. Yeah.
I've never heard of that before.
Me too. I've never heard of that.
It's all power pop.
I heard of the Exploding Hearts.
Yeah. Like I would consider, I mean, I'm sure there's like music people
like
listening to this
77.
right now. Yeah, like it kind of like has that punk edge. For me, like it has that punk edge. It has that garage edge, but it's just like super catchy. Like the harmonies are in there. I'm sure there's like music snobs listening to this right now that are like, he's defining it wrong, which I probably totally am. But like,
yeah, you know what? I say a lot of things that are wrong on the show. So
to me, it's like I know it when you hear it. But like those bands, I think really like nail. Even like, you know, after there was the Briefs, and then after the Briefs, he had that band Cute Lepers. Cute Lepers, I think, feels a little power poppy to me. But yeah, it's just like good time rock and rolly stuff. So it was a fun show last night, and like good to see like younger bands. I can say that now. I'm like pushing 40. I'm like, oh cool, like 20-year-olds liking,
isn't it weird?
making cool
it
music.
Is, yeah,
like,
it's
awesome,
very weird.
Know?
Yeah.
So like it's good. I'm like, all right, the kids are all right. Like cool, they're making cool shit still.
Did you see that meme floating around? I was trying to find it before I got here because I thought of it immediately when I saw you in the crowd. It's somebody at a football game wearing a football uniform watching the game, and it's like a musician when they're at someone else's concert. You're just like there, but you're watching the show, but you're as a fan, it's still kind of different. You're still looking at the setup. You're still
totally it's you're trying to be in the moment and have fun.
And you're kind of criticizing the sound guy.
But then you're also like, that mix could be better. Like, you're really burying the background vocal right now.
Or sometimes it's like, are you going to tune after every fucking song? Like, hold on, dude, you're fucking up the rhythm.
You got it, man. As a guitar player, and then you go into it, the new song, and you're like, maybe I should have tuned.
Yeah.
Frank, you need a double neck guitar now, I think.
A double neck?
One's in tune. You just switch. One's in tune, the other's out of tune, then you switch.
I always wonder, what do they do? Is it one tune standard? Is it one tune different? Or is it just the same?
Or is it some of them, one's like a baritone, and then one's like normal? I don't know. I'm a drummer. A drummer trying to talk guitars. If the power pop conversation didn't make them angry enough, now me trying to talk about a guitar is just through the roof.
Well, okay, so you mentioned moving here in 2007. That's when we met. Where did you move from exactly? Where were you originally from?
Yeah, so I grew up in Northern California in a beautiful town called Stockton, which is like
Homine Diaz?
Yeah.
What's the area code again?
Oh, God. What's the area code?
805?
209.
209.
Yes. Still got the number. Nice. Check my text. I still got that 209 number.
Do? Okay.
I grew up in Stockton, which frequently appears on the like most miserable places to live list. So I grew up there, and then graduated high school and went to college in Fresno.
Yes, 209, and I'll stop there.
Yep. See, there you go. Went to college in Fresno, and then graduated in May. Graduated late May. Sold a bunch of my stuff, bought a car that wasn't going to break, and then 4th of July 2007, put my drums in the car and like a suitcase of clothes and just moved down here.
Came to LA to join a power pop band.
To join whatever. Like I just knew, I got the college degree, was like, okay, there you go, Mom. I did it. And then immediately was like, but I just want to play drums and be like a, musician and do that kind of thing. And so a old friend of mine was like, well, if you want to move down here, like, if you want to help out, they were like working on another project. They're like, if you want to help out with our project to sort of like pay the rent, you can sleep on our couch. And so I just like lived on someone's couch and like moved down to LA and just tried to get drum gigs, and just tried to book tours and like stay on the road as much as I could, because I was just like some couch guy.
You're the couch guy.
Yeah, I was the couch guy for a long time.
So I'm pretty sure you learned good manners though as a guest. You're a great guest to come on.
I'm a great guest. Because you're basically, if I was at home in LA, I was living on someone's couch, or if I was not at home and I was on tour, these weren't big tours. I mean, this is like Rezurex in 2007, 2008. So us on tour is still playing a show, and then that night, the like on stage, like, oh, if anybody has like a place we could crash at, like that'd be great. So you're still just crashing on couches.
You go to the after party and then you just sleep there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that was a lot of times. I remember that. Those days.
You're like, who's really excited and wants to party all night? And by all night, I mean by 2, we're just gonna sleep on your living room floor. Don't worry, we're very nice guests. We'll like, fold the blankets before we leave.
I think, what? I'm going to say that I brought it up last time I talked to you when you were on the show, The Volcanics.
Yeah.
Because we're going to actually bring up some of the same topics when you were on The Volcanics, because I was focusing on everybody, but I got into some of your story. But I'm going to retell some of those stories, probably go into more detail. But one thing I think we mentioned is that I'm not good for floors anymore. When I was in my 20s, I could totally sleep on the floor, no problem. Now I'm like, ooh, I don't know if that's a good idea.
That's painful.
It's painful,
like, George gave me this chair. I gave him a side eye. I'm like, oh, okay. Only about an hour. This plastic chair I'm in. Like, I can't, But in my 20s, as a couch guy like you were, I'm like, oh, I don't even need a chair.
Yeah, I don't know. I still try to stay. I'm a resilient late 30s. I'll if you give me the option between the bed and the floor, I will take the bed. But suffice it to say, you still end up on tour on the floor sometimes. It's a little rough for the next morning. You got to do the old get the back crack going before you really get up and at it. But yeah, it's wild. I mean, it's crazy to think about those days and how much we were just on the road and out and about. Like, Rezurex would go on tour to Europe. The first time Rezurex went on tour, I went on tour with Rezurex to Europe, is pre iPhone, right? Pre-mobile internet, laptops existed, but nobody can afford it. And touring still existed, kind of, right? Like, now it's really tough for bands to go on tour. The economy is just shit. The market's shit. It's tough to string together that many shows. But at the time, you could go on tour for months. First Rezurex tour, I remember getting to the airport and going through security, getting ready to board the plane, calling my mom on my little Nokia brick cell phone, and being like, "Okay, Mom, I'm headed to Europe. I'm not going to have any service there," because there was no such thing as an international plan or whatever, and being like, "I'll talk to you in 2.5 months. See ya." I'm 21, and she's like, "Okay, bye, I guess." And that was touring, and you just didn't. And maybe you'd be on the road, and maybe once a week or every 2 weeks, you could convince the tour manager, "Hey, here's a word the youth won't understand. Hey, could you take us to an internet cafe so we can check our email?" And and you'd send an email out, and you just put all your friends or friends or your girlfriend or your parents on a thread and be like, "Hey, what's up? I'm in Cologne. Tour's going great, not dead. Bye." That was kind of how you toured.
I remember too. You would just get this is the MySpace days. A MySpace post. Hey everyone, you just see on a board.
Yep. Yeah, that was the other right. It was MySpace. And again, even in the span of touring, it used to be even more difficult than that. At least 2007, 2008, you kind of had MySpace and sort of some ways to inform a large group of people. But yeah, you'd hop on MySpace. "Hey, what's up? Cool, tour's going great." And that was what it was.
Internet cafe. You know what? I haven't heard that. I've never really thought of those two words together unless you brought it up. It's been that long.
Right? So this is the asterisk at the bottom. It's so anybody under the age of 35 listening to this, you used to go to a cafe and you would pay someone money and they would let you sit at a computer for an hour and you could use the World Wide Web. And that was a business model.
Yeah.
That's a WW.
Yes, WWW, World Wide Web. You could check your Yahoo email.
Someone sent me, I forgot what they sent me, but it showed a Yahoo email. And I'm like, they still got those?
Still got those.
I know I've met older people with AOL.
Yeah, AOL. Hotmail.
Yeah.
I had an SBCglobal.net.
Right. Yeah. And then all the bands, too, you'd have those long-ass URLs. It'd be geocities.com/ blah, blah, blah / the band name,
Oh, are you talking about the website that you
get
can
your
make
website,
back in the day?
angelfire.com / whatever. You would get these free websites, and that was your website. Pre-MySpace days, right? You'd have to make my bands in high school, we'd make our shitty website with the URL that was just a paragraph, okay, and then a lowercase a, and then the number 8, and then the band name. Check it out. //. You'll see our tour dates, and your tour dates are you're playing Yvette's Hall and 2 internet cafes. That's what it is.
So let's go back to that. So you're talking about touring. I remember you mentioned touring with the Rezurex. One thing you mentioned, I back in a Volcanics interview that when we're off mic was how we talked about the recession in the 2000s, which kind of affected shows. We brought it up before for different subcultures, psychobilly, anything you're in. Venues started closing. People stopped going out much, which really affected, I think, entertainment, music for sure.
Yeah.
You said that when you were on the road, you during the recession, like you were having things cancel on you, like in real time.
Yeah. So the first band I started working with when I moved down here was this punk band called The Scarred, and they were on Punkcore Records, right, which was like the Casualties and the Unseen. That whole thing was going on, and the label was doing really well. And like the year before, The Scarred had toured, and they were playing like these sold out shows. Everything's going awesome. I come down, their drummer wasn't able to do a tour, so they were looking for somebody to kind of come in and do it as a fill-in. I join, again, same thing. They're like, it's 2 months. We're going to go all the way around the U.S. Great. We left LA, and you just started to see the show infrastructure kind of fall apart. If you had looked at that band, that band by that time had been a band 5 years or more, or whatever, had 2 albums out. All their tours had been booked the same way, right? You email with all these promoters, right? Kids or whoever putting on all ages shows in their town. The stuff we all did, right? Oh, I got this Vets Hall, or I got this church back room. They'll let us put on a show. And that's kind of how it all been, this DIY system. And then you got out on the road and you started to get the like random message like, oh, this show's not going to happen. Or, or you'd see a message 2 weeks ago that was like, hey, we can pay you $250 to do this show. $250, a lot of money back in those days. And then you'd go back to like advance the show with them, and you'd see the profiles deleted, the messages were gone. And so that tour, we were out for like a month, and I remember us getting to about halfway across Oklahoma, and we were just out of money, and it was like we could risk it and try to get to the next town and hope that that promoter had enough of what they had promised us as a fee to kind of like get us to the next one. Or we were like, I'm throwing a lot of old terms at the people right now. We could call the bass player's mom and see if she could Western Union us.
Yeah. Wire you some money.
Wire us enough money to get gas to get from Oklahoma back to California. And everybody in the van had pneumonia at varying degrees depending on how many cigarettes they smoked. So like I didn't smoke, so I had like walking pneumonia. The lead singer smoked constantly, so he was like full-blown pneumonia, like couldn't walk. And we were just like, we probably need to just call it. And like we go all the way back to LA, and it's like you back to LA and you start turning on the news and it's like the recession. We're like, what's a recession? And we had found out in the middle of Oklahoma, like nobody was going out. All these shows were falling apart. All the bars that we were messaging a month before that we're going to do shows were now closed. Like it was wild. Like it was the strangest thing we'd experienced up until 2020 when the pandemic hit and the thing all happened again. That's my recession era touring. It was really fun.
So that sounds crazy.
Let's do a list of the bands you.
Oh no!
We have an hour and a half to fill. I got to hear about the bands. No, okay. So let's do the list of the bands you're currently in right now.
Oh, currently in. Oh, that's an easy one. Okay. So currently, I play for the Rhythm Shakers, which is rock and roll rockabilly band on Wild Records. So I play for them. I started playing for them just over 2 years ago. I think I joined like just coming out of the pandemic. Play with the Rhythm Shakers, and then I play in an instrumental surf band called the Volcanics, who you've had on the show before. We've hung out, and I've been playing in that band about 6 years. And then occasionally, they don't tour much, but when they do tour, the Bomboras, who's like a legendary garage surf band from the 90s, they kind of reunited a couple years ago. but their drummer didn't want to do some of the shows, so they called me, and so I do that when they head out on the road, which isn't a ton, but when they do, off I go. And then just recently, I've started playing with like a punk rock, budget rock band from Long Beach called The Toe Tags. So that's kind of like the current mix of who I'm usually out with. But, you know, schedule's always open. There's always something to do. So
how often do people text or call you to fill in for drums? Like, you have to turn a lot of people down? Because I've recommended you, so like, you know what drummers? I'm like, there's always two names, Ben or Roman.
Yes, it's fair. Hey, I appreciate it. No, right now, I haven't been filling in a ton. Everybody's kind of like, the drum ecosystem feels very like stable right now. Not a lot of quitting or disappearing drummers, so not a lot of fill in. Right before the pandemic era, it got a little crazy for me. Like that, I was like getting texts constantly, and I was just like, I had like so many songs in my head. It was like wild. I think I was like playing with the Volcanics, playing for this like kind of like pop indie rock artist Talin Kali. I was like filling in occasionally for Crown City Bombers. I was filling in for Catfish, who's like a blues harmonica player, and then Catfish, you know Catfish?
Oh yeah, I know Catfish.
Catfish.
Oh man.
Dude, those shows are wild.
Tell me about Catfish.
Dude, Catfish is a harmonica player, blues player, super, super talented guy. But he's like a true, and I say this like with love and respect, he's like a true blues guy. So
Seriously.
like his sets are like 3 hours long, and there's no rehearsal. He just sends me a list of songs, and he's like, I'm like, cool, like, with every band, I'm like, cool, like, it's usually like steps. I'm like, send me your songs. I'll write charts for them, basically, so I kind of know where I am. I call them like my like little Google Maps for songs. So I'll write those, and then I'll be like,
Cliff
cool,
notes.
and like, yeah, like my like Cliff Notes to how to do it, and then I'll be like, cool. Usually 1 rehearsal, 2 rehearsals, I will get your set. Like, we'll make it happen. He was like, nah, man, don't worry about that. He's like, he sent me just like a list of songs, and they're all like blues standards, and then his album, and was like, those are the songs. He's like, don't worry about rehearsing. Dude, you're a good drummer, man. You got this. I was like, I appreciate the compliment, but what do you mean I got this? And so, yeah, dude. But his sets are rad because I'll have a set list so I know the order they're in, and he'll just turn and be like, all right, it's da-da-da song, key of this. All right, and he counts it. He's like, all right, ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. And you're just into it. So you're like, okay. Like, so I kind of got in this pattern where I just rethought how I approached it and was like, okay, what style is each song? I would just write the song title and the style. Like, okay, this is like blues shuffle, mid-tempo. This is like swing. This is, 4 on the floor. And so he could just count it off, and I would just kind of like start playing that beat, and then like
wild.
it would go,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like I was filling in for Catfish. So that's like a song book worth of stuff. And then in the midst of that, Elvis from 3 Bad Jacks called me up and was like, hey, which is a wild story we can talk about, but Elvis called me up.
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, Elvis called me up. And
For those listening, Elvis from 3 Bad Jacks,
3 Bad
you
Jacks.
mentioned, rockabilly band
Yeah.
from the early 2000s. Used to be very active.
Crash the window, baby, we got your bottles, go for a ride. When the only cat's asleep, cause I'm a pretty little kid too. I slip outside, pick up the motor like a daddy ain't gonna have a glass. I'm drinking on the baby in a black Cadillac. I roll the car and half a block until you hit a red one. Cause I know a pretty baby that you're looking so fine. A 4, a 3, a 4, 3, 2, 1. Jump back to see you're gonna have a little fun. In a black Cadillac, black Cadillac, in a black Cadillac, black Cadillac, in my black Cadillac, black Cadillac, in my black Cadillac, black Cadillac. I wanna hug you, wanna squeeze you, wanna hold you so tight. Come on, baby, won't you jump inside?
They had Brett, who was a bass player. They always I remember they were always rotating drummers since I used to see them.
Oh yeah,
And bass players too.
and bass players. Yeah, I mean that's like the rockabilly psychobilly way, right? There's like the guy and then the guys. So I've just been part of the guys for like everybody. I think that's why when you list the band, right, it's like I'm just one of those guys that you can like put in the background. Who is he? Oh, there's like a skinny tattooed guy in black in the back there.
I was
playing the
thinking when I
drums.
was asking about your current lineup, do you just, you know how like for every drummer you have to have like a band's name on your bass skin? Do you just have like a wall of them you had to rotate?
No, I just ended up doing a kick drum that looks like the old Gene Krupa jazz kit, but instead of the GK, it has 9K because I'm like Ben 9000. So I ended up doing that because I was like, I can't change it.
Ben 9000?
Ben 9000 is like,
9000.
was
like
my...
Power Man?
What's that?
Like Power Man?
That is a hell of a reference. No, Ben 9000, it was like a random like nickname that I picked up in college because like HAL 9000, like the robot in Space Odyssey.
God. I don't remember that one.
It's a strange reference, but that's where it comes from. So that I ended up just making a kick drum that said that because I had to change it too much. But we were talking about 3 Bad Jacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
3 Bad Jacks. Here's my 3 Bad Jacks story. This has got to be like the most like ADHD interview ever. They're like, this guy just keeps jumping around.
It's good.
Well, I asked. I'm like, I want to hear about 3 Bad Jacks because otherwise I'll say let's go back to it. I know we're gonna move on, and then I'm like, fuck, I forgot to ask him.
Here's my 3
Just
Bad
like with the
Jacks
Volcanics,
story.
I'm like, I should have asked him this.
My
No.
3 Bad Jacks story. This relates to the early days of me moving to LA. I moved to LA. I get the gig with the Scarred. I'm doing a bunch of shows with the Scarred, but I know that's going to be one tour and then it's done. So in parallel to that, I'm also auditioning for a bunch of bands. So that's how I meet Daniel from Rezurex. Daniel sees me and is like, hey, we need a new drummer. We're gonna record this album, which was gonna be what ended up being Psycho Radio. We're gonna go on tour with the Scarred. When you come back, I want you to audition. I'm like, yeah, sure. In parallel, I get a message from Elvis from 3 Bad Jacks. Hey, what's up? I need a drummer. Do you want to audition? Sure, no problem. I audition for both bands. My audition for Rezurex is very much a normal audition. I go to their studio space. I'd pre-learned like 4 of their songs. I go in, play them with them. They're like, cool, great job. You don't suck at the drums. Wonderful. We'll give you a call. I leave. My audition for Elvis. I drive. He's like, come out to my house. At the time, he's like living up in the hills. I drive up to his house. He has like a home studio. I'm like, hey, do you have do you want me to learn anything? Learn some songs prior? He's like, nah, just come out. And we'll just jam. I'm like, okay. Go out to his house. We go out to his studio. I'm like, cool. Is there like a drum set? Do you want me to set it? He's like, no, drum set's not set up. He's like, here, like grab that snare. I was like, okay. And I put a snare on the ground. There's no chair. I like sit on the ground with a snare, and he grabs an acoustic guitar and just starts like jamming some like rockabilly stuff. Mm-hmm. And I just like hop in, he's like, here, grab those brushes. I'm like, okay, grab some brushes. I like hop in, choo-choo train beat, we're like jamming, rocking through some stuff, grooving. He's like, all right, cool, man. He's like, yeah, you good, man? Like, I think you could make this happen. I'm like, all right, well, cool, man. I was like, well, like when you want. He's like, I don't have any shows planned right now, but I'll give you a call. Like, all right. I was like, give me a ring whenever. And but Daniel called me back first, and Daniel was like, "Hey, I want you in the band. I need you in Hollywood next week. We have a photo shoot, and then I need you to learn 12 songs. I'm going to need you to record Psycho Radio. Greg Hetson from Bad Religion is going to produce it, and then I need you to get your passport right now because you're going to have to go in Europe in a few weeks." And I was like, again, I'm 21 living on a couch. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Like, here we go. And then I never heard from Elvis. Fast forward 15 years. Not a joke. 15 years. I've lived like 3 lifetimes at this point, right? Like I've played drums and toured. I've stopped drumming and moved to music management. I've moved to the tech industry and have started drumming again. Like I've had, you know what I mean? Like my life has evolved like insane. Like
all of a sudden it's like it's taking you back.
It's like 8 a.m. My phone rings. I look at the caller ID because I never changed my number. Got the 209.
Yeah, you can't lose it.
It's like Elvis, 3 Bad Jacks. I'm like, pick up the phone. I'm like, what's up, dude? And he's like, hey man, how's it going? I was like, you know what I mean? You're like, well, well, it's been 15 years. What's up, man? And he's like, hey man, you still drumming? It's like, yeah. It's like, cool, man. My drummer just bailed on me. I remember we jammed way back in the day and you were good. If you're still drumming, you want to come do some tour dates with me? I'm like, yeah, dude. Like, sure. You want to like, we should jam though, right? Like, so I can learn the songs, right? He's like, yeah, all good. He's like, I'll send you an address. Come by like, Thursday night or whatever. You can meet Johnny. He's our bass player. And yeah, we'll learn these songs and let's do it. I'm like,
so this is pretty recent then, yeah.
That's my 3 Bad Jacks story of like how 15 years later I got a call back.
Did you set your drums on fire?
I did not. Well, and that was one of the ones I was like, that was one of my first questions when I joined. I was like, we can play whatever you want. My only stipulation is like, can I not do the fire thing? And I guess they had, like, I don't know. I didn't have the details on. I guess like a year before. There was the Arizona thing happened. It was like, we don't do that anymore. There was like a bit of an issue with it. I was like,
wait, what happened in Arizona?
You can tell the story.
I just know bits and pieces of it.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah. I just remember it just clicked in my head. They set the stuff on fire and it set off the sprinklers.
Yeah.
And there was water everywhere in the entire bar or club. And then that was the incident.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And then it was like a bunch of damage and stuff. So like it was like, and I joined probably like that was like the summer previous. Because he called me in like December or something. So it was like, it was right after that. So no fire on the drums. But that's my long-winded Elvis story.
I used to see them often when I was young. I haven't been keeping up with them. I've talked to Elvis a couple of times to get him on the show. Scheduling-wise, never, like with you, it took a while.
Dude,
what was I going to tell you? I just know he keeps getting his van stolen.
I don't know. What is up with that recently?
What is up with
parts
that?
are like in North Hollywood. That's not a good area.
Yeah.
I think North Hollywood at the time was Van Nuys.
Van Nuys, yeah. Yeah, he's still out there, man. Like, their touring schedule is still heavy. Like, he was, because I was playing with them basically right up until, again, like the pandemic closure. Like, that was like my last show before we all shut down was that. And their schedule was packed. And he was like, hey, like, we got all these tours. We got months on the road. And he was like, they had asked me to do it. And I was like, dude, I have like a day job now, man. Like I can do like, 4 weeks a year on the road, but like there's no way I can keep up with their schedule. Cause they still, he still really does. They still do it, man. You know?
Because I'm looking at your current list of bands.
Yeah.
Why do I have? Oh, I forgot you were in Jeffree Star. I have that on the list.
Oh yeah.
I'll get to that right now. Because there's the current bands. Then we'll go to past bands. Is where know. But I was thinking because Toe Tags are pretty much local, right? They're a local band.
Yeah, they're all Long Beach dudes.
Rhythm Shakers tour. You said 4 weeks out of the year you could do it.
Yeah. That's usually my like. I think, right now, it was this weird thing that kind of happened, right? Is like, because you think, you sort of spend your 20s going like, okay, the worst thing you can do is like get the day job. And then like, but what was weird was that, you know, I was drumming for most of my 20s, and that was my job. I was a drummer. And then as I moved more into the music industry, working professionally in the music industry, more toward, you know, I was like a manager for a long time and a tour manager for like big, like major label artists and stuff. But the weirdest thing that I realized was when you do that, you really have to devote all your time to making your client happen. So the last thing you can do when you're sitting with like your pop star client is be like, oh, sorry, I can't be at the meeting Friday. I got a gig.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they don't want to hear that.
They don't want to hear that.
There's no
shit,
time for that. So I would say the least I played drums was when like I was like a professional in the music industry. And so once I sort of transitioned out of working kind of like in music management full time and sort of went like, got a real job, right? And started, you know, I work in the tech industry now. What I realized was like, oh, like by law, this company like has to give me X amount of PTO per year.
Vacation.
And as soon as I started looking at, you know, some of these bands I was working with or bands that were around at the time, I was like, wow, like nobody, you know, we kind of mentioned this earlier, right? Like it's not like it was back in the day where Rezurex was going on tour for 2.5 months. Like nobody was really doing that anymore. Most of the bands I was around or familiar with were like, yeah, we'll do like a 10-day tour every year, and then the rest of the year we're doing fly-out dates to festivals and coming back. I was like, oh, well, I can do that, no problem. So like right now, it's like I'll do a couple 10-day tours a year, and then I'll do a bunch of international fly-out dates, and I message my boss and say, hey, I'm not in on Friday because I have to fly to Europe. And like they are like, okay, like fine, see you Monday.
You just went to one recently, right, in Denver?
Yeah, so I was in Denver last weekend. Like this year, I've done Spain twice. We did Belgium. And then, we did that festival in Denver, and then we'll do another festival in Northern California in a couple weeks here. And then, like 2025 already, like Rhythm Shakers has like the UK lined up, Florida, I think another, it's like kind of comes in,
Kind of good. You have a good rhythm going on with the Rhythm Shakers.
I have a good rhythm. Yeah, everything kind of has like a rhythm. It's very busy. Like I'm super busy, and constantly like not sleeping and on planes. But like it's like my life is like a little ecosystem that sort of works right now. It's not to say that I never want to go transition to like playing drums full time again, but it just has to be the right opportunity, right? Like there's a certain type of band and artist that is able to sustain that pay, right? Or that financial model. And so, like if that opportunity ever came, like that's awesome. I'd love to do it. But for now, like my life functions.
So typically we play music on here. When you're around the Volcanics, we play a track from the Rezurex. We'll get to when you first, we were talking about when we moved to LA, your old stuff. I want to kind of move away from your current lineup of drumming. I want to play a track from one of these current bands, maybe the Toe Tags, Rhythm Shakers. I was thinking that Toe Tags is a really rocking, and George got me into him recently. I went to that live show. We're kind of big fans of them as of now. Man. I was thinking, would you want to play a Toe Tag song? If so, which one? Like, which one do you enjoy playing live?
So the Toe Tags records just came out. For full disclosure, I did not play drums on those. Those were recorded before I joined the band. So they just put out 2 7-inches. They're both really, really awesome. Again, they sent me, when they were like, hey, we need a drummer, they sent me those 4 tracks. And I was like instantly sold on it. Oh, this is like really cool and has something really special. There's a song called Crime Wave. Play that one.
All right, here is Crime Wave by the Toe Tags.
I'm hanging dead on a crime wave. I'm gonna ride it straight to the
All right. So we're going to take a little break from the drumming. I want to talk about Dogula.
Yeah.
Dogula, it came up during the Volcanics interview.
Yeah.
First things first, if you look down to your bottom
I
there.
know. This is the coolest
Frank's
thing.
wife, as people who listen to the show or don't know, makes pinatas.
It's so cool.
Custom ones. Get another picture of that. Yeah.
Is that your dog?
No. This one is not my dog. But it looks really cool.
So I figured it'd be a good gift for you to come on the show, take it to your events for your little booth.
This is so cool. Yeah, we do a lot of events, and we have like our little like Warp Tour booth, a little tent.
So let's get into what is Dogula, how it began. I want to know crazy about Dogula. We all three of us got Dogula shirts. We
got shirts. Yeah, you got her. You're in it.
We've been paid off. Yeah.
Dogula. So Dogula is we describe as a alt-inspired clothing brand that makes punk and metal inspired shirts that advocate for animal rescue, and then we donate 50% of the proceeds to local dog rescues. So that's sort of what it is, right? Like we make shirts that advocate for animal rescue that look cool, that look like cool stuff that we would want to wear, or like band shirts that we all wear. So that's kind of Dogula, and it's run by myself and my wife and partner Erica.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What kind of dog do you have?
So I have 2 Chihuahuas.
Nice.
Yeah, we're Chihuahua parents. I had to learn about Chihuahuas when I got together with Erica. Like I had always had dogs growing up, but like big dogs. And then, obviously we talked about like I had moved to LA and was like couch surfing and just kind of like a bum musician. So like I always liked dogs, but like I couldn't have a pet, because I'm just always like bopping around and doing whatever. And then Erica and I got together, and she had a Chihuahua mix little rescue guy named Buzz. And so I had to learn really quickly about like Chihuahuas. Like I remember going to her house like the first time, and she's like, "Oh, by the way, like I have a dog named Buzz. He's like a little crazy." I was like, "Oh, it's like, oh, like dogs love me, man. Like I grew up with dogs. Don't even worry about it." I was not prepared for like the Chihuahua attitude that was about to come at me. So yeah, I walk in and Buzz is just like barking at me. But yeah, like a Chihuahua is a unique little guy. Like you got to earn,
for sure.
You got to earn the love with those ones. I'd grown up with like Labradors that just love everybody. Chihuahua, you got to win them over a little bit. So I eventually won over Buzz, and then we were like besties, and now, yeah, we're like a Chihuahua household. We always got them.
You said 2?
We have 2. Yeah.
What's the other one's name?
Yeah, so we have 2. Our 2 current Chihuahuas are Baby and Bianca. Unfortunately, Buzz passed away about 2 years ago.
Rest in peace, Buzz.
And so we had, we had an open seat on the couch, so we adopted Bianca. Baby was our COVID dog who arrived with us. So it was Buzz, and then we got Baby, and then Buzz passed away, and so we adopted Bianca. And so now we got the two girls hanging out at the house.
Oh, nice. What the shirt that that I got, it says adopt rather than buy.
Yeah.
So,
Adopt, don't shop.
Adopt, don't shop. Yeah. So adopt, foster, and rescue are kind of like what we advocate for. So, I think, like if we, kind of pivot into like the stats of it all, right? Like, dog rescuing, overall, and especially in LA, is just like such a huge thing, right? Like I was, reviewing like some stats just came out like a week ago. Like basically LA animal shelters are at 200% capacity on dogs, right? From just people, whatever, got a dog, you decide you don't want it, you got a dog, you don't know what to do with it, or, like unregistered breeding, and just, it's just a mess. You know, there's just like just so many animals that are just like not taken care of or like stuff like that. So, you know, you have all these shelters, county-run shelters, you know, and a lot of them are like kill shelters, right? And so,
those poor little pooches.
I know. And then you have all these rescues. So then there's like a rescue association, right? So you have all these rescues that will go to shelters and basically like rescue a dog out of it, and then they'll take it upon themselves to try to get that dog adopted. So rescue pulls them out of the shelters, and then adopt and foster is the rescue organizations we tend to work with. Like you can adopt dogs from them, right? Which is like what Erica and I did with Baby and Bianca, or they also will like foster dogs, right? Like, so if you run a rescue, you obviously can't have 30 dogs in your house, so you'll foster those dogs to people. And so, you know, this dog will come crash at my house until somebody adopts them, right?
Couch dog.
Couch dog, yeah. So you can have like kind of a couch dog that hangs out with you until somebody, you know, finds them on Instagram and is like, I'll adopt that dog.
Hold on one second. Oh, no, I'm back.
He's back.
No, I couldn't hear myself, but I just had to make an adjustment. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. So that's sort of where the adopt, foster, rescue comes from, right?
And then to raise money for this is merchandise, right? Like the shirt you're wearing is inspired by Batman.
Yeah.
Dogula. That's why I did the pinata, because I'm like, it's such a good one.
It's cool.
Frank's wife is named Denise, by the way. I said Frank's wife, but she has a name, and she does custom pinatas. Great work. You're one of, 2 or 3 guests we've made pinatas for already?
I think the second or third one,
yeah. It's kind of a thing.
You did the eye candy one.
Yeah,
I saw that. It was really cool.
I'm like, let's make him a pinata.
One,
just because, I figure, okay, what show are you going to go to and give you a custom pinata, you know? And also,
it's awesome.
I saw your booth, your Warped Tour booth. I'm like, dude, one of freaking Denise's pinatas would be perfect up there.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, we have a little, we do, we haven't done a ton this year, but we do like a pop-up tent for like events or like rescue fairs or even like punk shows. And yeah, we have like a Dogula banner and
the
like
stickers look cool, the font
and stuff. And yeah, it's really cool. We have a cool little setup. So this is like perfect. It's
it was funny too because he was asking, you brought the shirts, right? Who's the medium? Obviously Frank's the medium. Who's the large? Actually, okay, obviously Frank's the extra large. Who's the 3X? Who do you think?
Hey, you know, I just, you know, maybe you're going for a baby t-shirt thing. You know what I mean, right? It's summer, a nice summer tank top.
Yeah, tighten up.
The crop tops are coming back.
So I'm like, I'm like,
see, it's back in style.
So right? I'm like, I'm the medium. Yeah. No, but Frank got a Chihuahua, George got the pit bull, and I got the mutt.
You got the mutt, man. No, but they're
discriminate the dogs.
No, I still like I like the shirt though. I'm rocking that baby.
Yeah, no, they're
it's
super
soft. It's soft.
They're soft. Yeah, they're soft. We print on soft t-shirts. And they're all hand screen printed in Los Angeles. And yeah, like the fundraiser components, we sell them on our website and we sell them at events. And then, like I said, those proceeds, we will partner with, like we basically change like every quarter or few months, and we partner with a different like rescue organization. So
nice.
It goes all the way around.
That
like
is
every
freaking cool.
Different kind of ones, stuff like that. We kind of have like a network of rescues that we will be like, hey, you know, you got a donation coming through, and send it through. Because again, these rescues just need tons of help, man, because they're pulling these dogs out of shelters to save them. But then you got to get food for them, and a lot of them come out with a lot of health problems. So it's just, it's tough, man. It's just like a tough, you know, it's a tough, industry is not the right word, but it's like a tough thing to take upon yourself to try to help these animals, man.
Yeah, I'm sure you're stressed. You're probably drinking early when you start thinking about it. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I always say this, like, stat is we every year for Giving Tuesday, I'll just do like a CTA on our Instagram and just be like, hey, what's up? It's Ben. Like, we're sending 2 donations out this evening. Tag your favorite rescue in the comments, and we're going to pick 2 and go for it. And so, and we don't have a big following. Like, we have like 1,000 Instagram followers. You know what I mean? It's not like a big group. We do it every year, and it's always, you know, you get a few in. Last year I did it, and I like went to bed and opened the thing the next morning, and we had like 150 comments. And I like created a spreadsheet and dropped everything in. And there was like 100 different rescues that were just like, hey, we need donations. And you're just like, it's, you know, you're saying you start drinking early because you're just like, this is a insane mountain to try to climb.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's just so much help that's needed. But like, that's the gig. You know what I mean? Like, strap up, let's go. Like, that's what we're trying to do.
Doing the Lord's work.
We're trying.
Yeah,
man.
and then for the shirt designs, like every season or something, you try to come up with something new.
Yeah. So
you have artists you hire. What do you? How does that work?
So we work with various artists, and we kind of draw from the same pool that we would for like band stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like that was kind of like the impetus of it, right? We were kind of like, hey, like I don't know if this is a good moment to kind of talk about like the beginning of it, but like it kind of starts because of the art stuff, right? Like, you know, there's all these like, you search on Etsy or whatever, and you're like rescue dog, and it's like all the designs are like, you know.
Okay, so you were saying when you go to Etsy, I remember you were saying how when you look at dog rescue shirts.
Yeah, like that's kind of how it starts, right? Like it kind of starts because, you know, we're. This is me yet again going on another tangent, but it kind of starts because, you know, I said like I sort of become an accidental Chihuahua stepdad, and then pandemic happens and we adopt a second Chihuahua which is Baby, who every intention was, you know, oh, I'm going to get Erica a second Chihuahua to have, and then we'll have 2 Chihuahuas and she'll have her 2 Chihuahuas. We got this dog, and she just decided like I was like the best thing, and she just wanted to be with me all the time. And so I'm like, okay, like I guess I have like just a Chihuahua that's always with me. She rides around in my car with me. I almost brought her today because she'll just hang out. She comes to the studio with me, hangs out in my office and listens to records, but she's like my bestie. And so that Christmas, Erica was like, oh, I know, I want to get him a are we having technical difficulties?
Oh no, I'm hearing scratching. I thought it was a cat, but it's Frank rubbing the mic.
Oh, he's
I'm
DJing.
Like, yeah, I'm all thinking, is that a cat? Go ahead.
Anyway, so yeah, that year for Christmas, Erica's like, oh, I know what I want to get him. Like, I should get him like a Chihuahua dad, like a funny shirt, like a Chihuahua dad, or like I love my dog shirt. And she's like, tells me that for Christmas, she's like, I ended up not getting you one because I just searched Etsy and I was searching everywhere, and every shirt was like, not that there's anything wrong with this, but like, who rescued who with hearts, and like, my dog's the cutest dog, and like,
yeah, you can't rebel with those shirts.
Yeah, she was like, nothing. They were like, she's like, none of them were even to the point where it would be like funny for you to wear them. Like,
yeah,
she's like, there's just nothing, and we were just sitting there thinking of like our friend group, and like everyone we know is like, you know, like all our friends are like adults who are like in punk bands or metal bands or like in the scene, and we all just have like either rescue Chihuahuas or rescue pit bulls, and our like dog, like we hanging out with our dogs. We're all like, you know, childless millennials with our pets, you know, riding around in our cars, and we're like, that's so weird that like no one's like tapped into this thing of like making like a cool thing that's like inspired by the scene that we all came up in, but like advocates for this stuff. And we're like, yeah, it's so weird. And we just sat there and we're like, wait a minute, like I've been playing in bands and like making band merch for like my whole life. Like this is not that hard. Like, you know, maybe there's something we could do there. And like, you know, Erica always wants to do more with rescue, but there's only so much you can do in an apartment, right? Like I can't really bring in any more dogs, you know? So I was like, wait a minute, like there's something here. I'm like, okay, maybe we can build this idea and it'll be a charity. And like, we don't need to make money from it.
And it looks like a band merch table.
Yeah. Like we'll do that. And then, you know, she always wants to give back more. We'll turn it into this way that we can give money back. And so we did exactly, you know, your original question was like about the designs. I just went to the same network of people that I talked to for band stuff. So like our logo, the logo with the drippy font, or this one, like this design here, with like this is Buzz, by the way. That's our first dog.
Oh yeah.
Olaf did that, right? That's
Olaf
did it?
Olaf
Right
did,
on.
He did this.
Right on.
Olaf did our logo.
Yes.
Olaf is did
That's what I mean. I
Corn
was like,
Test.
yeah, he did this logo. So I was like, I just called, like, you know, bringing it back, like my old friend from the psychobilly scene, and was like, hey, here's the pitch. Here's what it is. I sent him a bunch of references and was like, that's what I want to do. And he made this original logo, and I sent him a picture of our dog, and that's our dog, and that was logo 1. He made that. And so then
and you mentioned people in the scene. You look at Frank with his tattoos, playing guitar. But if you go on his Instagram, he has the pictures of him with his little dog. You know?
See, and that was like, I was like, we're all like,
Yeah, George
hanging out
here,
with
same thing. The tattoos, the cool Halloween stuff. He's got his little pooches in the back.
Yeah, like, and that was, we were like, everybody we know is doing this and is like, this is what we're all really passionate about. But there's nothing that really, like, we can't like showcase that in any way to people. We're like, oh, this is like such a wasted space, and we can use it to raise money. So we just started calling up people that I'd worked with before. I think the one I gave you, that one, like, he normally does like album covers for like black metal bands, like gnarly stuff. Like his Instagram was like Death Sunflower, and it's like black metal gnarly shit. And I was like, hey man, here's what I'm doing. You want to try something? He's like, yeah, no problem. Like, you know, we pay our artists as well. But yeah, like, people are just, when we reach out, most of the time they're really stoked about it, or, you know, they already have ideas, or like, oh yeah, how about this? Or I had this idea here. You want to try this? So,
and then the name comes from Dracula.
Dogula. Yeah. So we Erica and I are both like very organized and like business-minded people. So yeah, we had a bunch of different names, and we kind of just ran like I'm putting this in quotes, like a focus group with our friends of a bunch of different names.
Such a corporate term.
Such a corporate term. And Dogula was the one that really stuck with people. And then we, you know, I did a copyright search and nobody owned it. So like we own the name Dogula.
Yeah.
It's very official. Like, you know, we're a bunch of little weirdo dirtbags in our chihuahuas, but we're very above board, you know? So Dogula ended up being the name.
Yeah, well, you mentioned corporate minded, but I mentioned this in the Volcanics when I first started the podcast.
Yeah.
I ran to you when you first got back with the Rezurex randomly.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got some questions about things, and you were giving me some advice about the logo and about flyers and stuff, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like, it's such a, I mean, this kind of transitions back over to the band thing a little bit, but like, you know, there are labels and stuff that can help you, but there's not a lot of a music industry that's going to do it for you. Like, and it only keeps getting more difficult, right? Like, we talk about 2007, you had to be pretty DIY in 2007, but you only really had to manage like a shitty GeoCities website and a MySpace. Now it's like, you got to have an Instagram that like posts something every couple of days, and now you got to have a TikTok, so you have to like make basically
separate
TV
videos,
show.
yeah,
like for this thing, and like
YouTube channel.
You got to have a YouTube channel. You got to book your own shows, and you got to make your own merch. Like, you have to have
edit your own videos.
Edit your own video. Yeah, like, yeah. If you want to play music, I would suggest taking a graphic design course and a video editing course, and also music lessons, because like it's gonna take all of that and lawyer up, you know, because it's going to take all of that to like make this stuff happen. And so with Dogula, it was no different. It was, again, us sitting there on the couch going, it's weird that nobody made like a company that does this. And we're like, oh, we have all of the skills to do this, because all this is like, it's band merch. It's band merch. And then at the end of the night, instead of giving the money to the band, you take it and you hand it to a dog rescue, and that's how it works. Like, it's
dog
very
rescue.
simple.
I just picture those little wagging tails, you know.
Wagging tails. We love them.
So is there a website?
Yeah.
You want to plug in?
We have a website. So dogulaclothing.com is the website. And then we have an Instagram, just at Dogula.co. So Dogula.
And then you said this is with your partner?
Yeah. So
okay. I was going to say wife, because I remember this came up in the Volcanics.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So we are not. It's so weird. Like millennial experience is so strange. Erica and I are not technically married, but also I'm like, how do you say, like, So my girlfriend and I, who own a house together, own a business together, and multiple pets together, it's such a weird thing, you know what I mean? So we're just always like, it's easier to just like, it's my wife, Erica, because like, how, you know, like, it sounds so weird to be like, my girlfriend. Like, your girlfriend, you know what I mean? People are like, oh yeah, are you and your girlfriend together still? You're like, well, we have a 30-year mortgage, so I hope so. You know, like, it's hilarious. So Erica, my wife, my partner.
You're not going out for soda pop, you know?
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to the sock hop. Like, I'm trying to pay the HOA. Like,
that's freaking funny.
So, that's us. And
you got anything on that, George? A millennial experience? We're in his house right now. And like I said, you know, he's a young parent, too. You see how cool this place is?
Right? It's cool. We're cool. We're gonna be cool parents. You know what I mean? Like, my little brother and his wife just had a kid, and like, you know, that kid's like growing up is going to be rad because like his parents are rad. Like,
he's got his daughter into music school too.
Oh, cool.
I wanted to did you teach music at one point if I remember correctly?
No, Frankie does. So Frankie from the Volcanics, he teaches middle school math.
Well, no, not. I just meant music, like drum teaching.
Oh no.
Okay, because I thought I was. Yeah.
Nobody wants to learn from me. They'll learn all the wrong way to do it. I'll just be like, dude, just spin your sticks and look cool. That's good enough for me for 30 years.
Bop.
Yeah.
All right, so we got into the Dogula thing. You got some stuff coming up. You have any new designs lined up?
Yeah. So we'll in October, we'll restock the site. So we'll bring some of the ones that we have in circulation now, and then we got a couple new designs that'll come out. You know, again, CTA, if anybody out there, if you're a designer and artist, please reach out. We're always looking for new people to work with.
Yeah.
We'll just keep releasing designs. You know, it's a really small, like, little, I can't emphasize enough, like, how small of an operation we are. Dogula is Erica and I in our living room, like packing up orders, like on our floor. Like if you get your order and you're like, there's some dog hair on this.
I just picture instead of licking the envelopes, you have the Chihuahua do it.
Oh yeah, it's like, that. Like it's just
like a little assembly line.
It's a little assembly line, like
very Disney.
Yeah,
90s Disney.
Yeah, very Disney. And like I said, it's really small. So we put out as much stuff as we can. But again, there's no Dogula warehouse, We're not Blackcraft. Like, it's not a whole operation. It's cool. It's just us.
All right. So we got into Dogula. We talked about your current lineup.
Yep.
I want to talk about now as far as how you got into drumming as a choice of an instrument, because you probably, some people start off in marching band, they get like they want the guitar. Everyone wants a guitar,
Yeah.
But then somehow you find I wanted a guitar. I found bass eventually. Where did you start, and how did you get to where you're at? Did you have an uncle? Did you have somebody, a musician in a family?
Yeah, I have my drum story is so practical. When I tell it, people are like, you were a really boring kid, weren't you? So no musicians in the family. My parents were into music, but like it wasn't like a obsession like it is for me.
What did they listen to? Like,
what's that?
What did your folks listen to? Like, what was playing around your house during like Christmas dinner, or just while they're cleaning? Like,
yeah, I would say like in general, like my parents were really into like, I'd say like the classic rock era, like 70s rock kind of, it was like a lot of like Queen, a lot of like Peter Frampton, like kind of like that, like radio classic rock era. They were like, in college, high school through college for them would have been like the 70s. So you got a lot of like that 70s era rock stuff. CCR, like that kind of thing is really what they were into. And then, weren't really a musical household. Nobody really played. And there wasn't really like a lot of music around the house when we were really young.
And this is in Stockton?
In Stockton, yeah. And there's no scene out there or anything. And so I got into music because, you're in, what is it, like 5th, 6th grade, public school, California. They're like, school band starts, right? And they're like, you can pick an instrument and be in the band. And I was like a super I guess I still am, but like I was like a super practical kid, got good grades and everything. I was very like methodical in how I approach things. So I remember, they do the little like, you come into the band room and you can like take the little music skills test or whatever, and then the band teacher's like, pick an instrument and then you can play. And so I was like, yeah, I think I want to do band. That seems like it'd be interesting. And so I was either going to play the saxophone or the drums. And again, so like this was probably so weird for the teacher because he's probably just sitting there like, please somebody join the band. Like I now put myself in the shoes of like my probably 30-something-year-old band teacher who's like, please just join the band. And I come in, I'm like, okay, I either want to play the drums or the saxophone. He's like, cool, pick one. You can do anything. And I'm like, well, how did I do on that like test? And he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, you had me do that test where it was like we had to recognize like rhythms or like, tonal changes. Which one did I do better on? Because if I did better on rhythm, I should probably play the drums, right? But if I'm better at the other, then I should do the other. And he's like, again, looking back now, I'm like, his face, he's just sitting there like,
just pick one.
Yeah. He's like, I just want you to participate. He's like, I remember him being like, I think you did better on the rhythmic one, but you can pick either, right? And I was like, okay, well then, yeah, I guess I'll like play the drum then. And like, I started playing the snare drum in junior high band and was like, it was sort of just like another extracurricular I did. I wasn't super engaged with it. And I actually kind of like stopped playing and was like kind of not really that interested to start. And then getting into the back half of junior high, like I think I started to engage with it more, and I kind of started like getting a little bit more interested in music and like finding bands that I thought were cool. And then I think that's when it started to pick up a lot. And so, at first I didn't have a drum set either. Like I was like,
how did that happen? How'd you get your first drum set?
Got my first drum set, I think, honestly, if I'm being real with it, is because my mom just wanted me to have a personality. I was like super just like a school. I would just go to school, go back home. And so for the record, like the way that I've ruined my life and wasted it playing the drums, my mom set herself up for this, right? She could have never had this happen, but see, she really pushed me to like get into it and try it out and play more, and then it just totally broke my brain, and it's like all I think about and all I do now. But I could have been an upstanding citizen, but my mom pushed me down this path of darkness.
You could have had the saxophone and been in a ska band.
I could have been in a ska band too. But yeah, I just got super into it. Like it got more and more, and I think I started finding music that I was interested in and was like into. And then I started taking lessons for a while. And then when I got in high school, I joined the jazz band. I was like, once you get to high school, right? Like when you're in junior high, you can basically play the concert snare drum or like, and then you get to march.
Yeah. Or the big bass drum.
Yeah. Like this is uncool and this is not interesting. But when you get to high school, there was jazz band. And then again, to date myself, this is when like ska was getting huge, swing revival was happening. So like Brian Setzer Orchestra, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy is like on the radio. So like the high school jazz band wasn't playing. Yeah, we were playing Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman, the standards, but we were also playing like Jump Jive and Wail. That's like on the radio. You know what I mean? Like cool stuff. And so you're like, oh, like this is like cool. Like we're doing like a modern thing, and you get to play the whole drum set. So I was like, I'm not trying to wear this marching uniform and like playing the stands during football games. I'm not trying to be in the concert band and wear this like tuxedo. But the jazz band,
you get to wear sunglasses.
Yeah, is like playing a Brian Setzer song, and that's fucking cool. And so that is kind of the path that I went. So I was like, through high school, I was like during the day playing in jazz band and playing like swing and jazz standards, and then in the evening playing with my dirtbag friends in like a punk band. And that's you can project that all the way to rhythm shakers now, where it's like, yeah, you fuse that together and you're like, oh yeah, wow, that like punk drummer back there has a hell of a swing to him. I'm like, yeah, man, because I like had to learn all those Gene Krupa parts in high school.
Yeah, so I steal this from Rick, is you knew your instrument, you dug deep, and you got into some of the origins of the style, I guess you could say. Like like you mentioned jazz, you mentioned swing.
Yeah, I think like, it's that interesting one because swing was really big at that time, and so you had, again, all that stuff playing on the radio, and then, but not my parents, but my grandparents were all of that era of a lot of the original big band, right? Like I come from an Italian family, right? So
okay, so you're Italian.
I love the big band. The big band's happening, and they're all into it. And so when I started playing in the jazz band, I think they saw that and were like, "Oh, I understand this." And they're like, "Yeah," like they're the ones that were like, "Oh, Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman." Oh, I can remember my grandpa like making jokes. I was like, "Oh yeah, I joined the jazz band." And he's like, "Oh, gonna be a little Gene Krupa, huh?" Like, because they knew those big band era stuff, and I was like, "I don't know what that
Buddy
is."
Rich.
But but then you're like, okay, then you learn who these guys are.
Is that when they play with the sticks? How do you call that style?
Oh yeah, traditional grip. Yeah. Can
you do that?
I am terrible at it.
You were a Crip? What did you say?
What's that? Traditional grip.
Traditional grip.
Oh,
play with
okay.
Crip walking. Yes, Crip walking the drums. Yes, he's sea walking back there. Yeah, traditional grip. I'm not very good at it. Again, now all the rockabilly people listening to this are like, ugh, I knew he was a poser. But yeah, I'm a match grip kind of guy. But yeah, that's how you get into it, and then you're going like, okay. When I'm listening to Brian Sett's orchestra and I'm listening to Bernie Dressel, right, who like hangs out here now, he's like playing at the Baked Potato, I'm sure. Like Bernie Dressel playing on Jump Jive and Wail. Oh, he's doing this fill that's this Gene Krupa thing from way back in the big band era, and then you're starting to connect those dots, and you're like, oh, okay, this is like pretty cool, like. It's cool. It feels like fun. And again, you're like a teenager, and you're like, hell yeah! Like I'm not wearing a little uniform dancing around on the football field. Like I'm in the jazz band. Like we're cool. This is like cool shit.
You ever heard of that? The Baked Potato?
No.
Baked Potato. Yeah.
So the Baked Potato is a bar / venue in the hills.
Yeah.
And the drummer, there's like the drummer for Tool goes there. I forget that dude's name.
It's like dude. You go to the Baked Potato. It's like all like. Real musicians, dude.
It's still open.
It's still open. Yeah,
it's like a speakeasy now that you got to know the right.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's cool. But like, if you're like, I mean, that was I mentioned Bernie Dressel. Like, he was like a dude. Like those. That Dirty Boogie record was like where I learned how to play swing for the first time. And then it's like fast forward, 20, 30 years later. Like Bernie Dressel's a session guy in LA. He when Joe's was still open, like he plays at Joe's. I would like walked up to him like, "Hey, you're Bernie Dressel." He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Cool, man." He's like, look at me like, "What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Can you sign my album?"
Yeah, who's this guy in the dog shirt?
Yeah, this guy in the dog shirt. He's like, "Hey, man, you're really cool." It's like, okay.
So you mentioned you were a pretty practical kid. Were you a good kid growing up? Because I know you were into tech and everything. Were you like a nerd? Were you? Because you mentioned you were you a troublemaker basically? Because I was a troublemaker. George was we're bad kids.
I figured things out pretty quickly. Like I did really well in school, and like was super nerdy. I was never not nerdy. I was just a nerd with a mohawk. But you're still a nerd deep down. You know what I mean? Let's be honest with ourselves, listeners. So I was like definitely like a nerd all through like elementary school, all that stuff. Junior high, I think I started to get more like into like music, and so I had like long hair and started to get a little like edgier. We're gonna put that in quotes too, guys. But I had always gotten like straight A's all through school, and I think my
parents would have loved you.
Oh, well, that's what I realized. I was like, I didn't find school that hard. Like, and I quickly realized like, oh, if I like get good grades, nobody questions me or bothers me or, you know, that's all they want. I quickly was like, oh, all anybody really wants from me at 14 is like A's on this piece of paper. And if I get them that, I can kind of go do whatever I want. So in high school, you know, I had like a punk band, which again, I was like 14 and like booking all our shows and making merch and like going out to shows and like doing that thing. And my parents would pretty much let me do that as long as my grades didn't drop. Like I remember my mom telling me, I had this huge pink mohawk in high school, and my mom telling me like point blank and seriously, like, this whole leather jacket mohawk thing, fine. And leading in and being like, but if your grades drop, I'll shave your fucking head. Yeah. And I was like, okay. And that was it. I was like, okay, challenge accepted. Like, and so I got really good grades and like did really well in school and like
you went to college too,
went
right?
To college, got the honor roll, whatever.
You were in the honor roll in college too?
Oh yeah,
yeah. That
graduated with
that separate colored sash thing.
Graduated with honors because again, I was like, as long as I do this, everybody will let me play drums.
What was your major?
I have a degree in English. Yeah. So I got a degree in English with my like kind of like focus was like in creative nonfiction.
Okay. So you don't need ChatGPT like the rest of us when you do your post.
Yeah, ChatGPT bothers me.
Yeah.
I won't say anything else, or when AI takes over, they'll use this as the reason they kill me.
We have devices all around. They're listening.
Okay, good. Great. Perfect. So I have a degree in English.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Which again, like I said at the top of the interview, right? Like I got getting a college degree was really important to my family. And I was like, okay, sure.
Now you could.
So I went to it. I got the piece of paper, graduated in May, went home and said, there you go, Mom. Got it. See you later. And I got in my car and moved to LA and
joined the Rezurex.
Joined the Rezurex. Like that was, you know, because I was like, that's what you wanted, right? And she's like, that's what I wanted. I was like, all right, I'm going to go be a drummer. Bye. Like,
oh, you said it was at the Knitting Factory on Hellcat Night? That's when you met Daniel?
Oh, yeah. Knitting Factory. So the Knitting Factory, when that used to exist in its first incarnation, yeah, they would do those show. There was the big stage, and then there was the small room below.
Two small rooms.
Three. Small room.
Yeah.
Was there three? Hold on.
Three. So it was the side. So you walk in, and right when you walk in, there's a corner one. But then to your right, there was a little small one, and then further ahead was the big one.
It was the it was
I remember
whichever
three stages,
small one was like the super. It was like a black box.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was super dark. You couldn't see shit in there.
Oh, okay.
That room.
Yeah, that's like the first. Yeah, that's the smallest room.
That's the smallest.
I played all three of those rooms.
Yeah,
so,
it's the smallest room. And they
Yeah.
used to have Hellcat nights, which was like Tim Armstrong's thing, but Tim would never be there. And yeah, Daniel, the Scarred was playing one of those, and Daniel came out to a show because this will be the most LA sounding sentence ever. The Scarred's lawyer was also Rezurex lawyer, and he was married to Lily, who was the woman who made the documentary made Last Fast Ride, the documentary on the Insaints, Daniel's first band with Marian Anderson. So Daniel used to be...
He was in a horror punk band previously.
He was, but originally... Now we're on the Daniel lore. So you need to get Daniel on here because he was in a band. He was in a band called the Insaints, who, if you look it up, she was like the female Gigi Allen. They used to play Gilman back in the day. Like Rancid would open up for them, right? And that was Daniel's first band because Daniel's from Modesto, up by me.
Oh, okay.
Up in the Stockton area. He's a NorCal guy originally. I'm airing out his laundry. Sorry, Daniel, if this isn't supposed to be public knowledge. He's from up Northern California, had a band, the Insaints, Marian Anderson. She was like the Gigi Allen, female Gigi Allen. She passed away.
Yeah, because I've seen those posts.
Yeah, she was like legendary. So Lily, who was the Scarred's lawyer's wife, had made a documentary called Last Fast Ride. Go watch it if you haven't. It's really good. About her and that band. And so Daniel was there because Daniel lived in Hollywood. Daniel lived in Hollywood. So they were like, hey, we're going to be at this Hellcat night. Our friend, the Scarred's playing. Come by. And he came to that show. And he was like, again, the drummer thing. There's like 5 of us. And I was a new drummer on the scene that nobody had seen before.
Get you before someone else does.
Yeah, and asked Lily and her husband, like, who's that? Who's the guy? Who's the drum guy? Like, that's like Ben. He like just moved here. He's filling in because their drummer can't do shows. But yeah, he like, I don't know. He just showed up. He's like just filling in. And he was like, light bulb. And like added me on MySpace and messaged me on MySpace.
Because at this time, that's when he was doing his new lineup for the Rezurex. That's when Manny joined you and then Kyle. I remember when he had the whole new lineup.
Yeah, so Manny, so you had the OGs, right? It's like Troy, James,
Jeff.
And Jeff. Yes. Troy, James, and Jeff. And they do
they're the original.
What's that?
They were the original Rezurex when it was called Lobo Negro.
Lobo Negro.
Yeah.
Yes, that's Lobo Negro. And then the name changes. This is me trying to get Daniel or again, apologies, Daniel, if I get this wrong. This is my understanding. Lobo Negro.
And it's really not his face, it's makeup.
It's makeup, yeah. That's the first lineup. Becomes Rezurex. Beyond the Grave comes out. And then that whole band becomes Tiger Army. Right. Jeff and James go to Tiger Army. Troy goes to Necromantics. And then he gets the three new guys, which is Kyle and Manny and Curly.
Curly was with a brief play. I remember that.
So Curly, and they did a couple shows and a tour. And then I guess they came back from that Europe tour and like Curly wasn't going to stay in the band or like something. And so they needed a new drummer. And so then that's where they had just come back from Europe over the summer, and then I auditioned like the week of Christmas or something, 2007. Like, and that's when I joined. So they had all kind of been in it for a little bit, but everyone was still new, and then I was like the last
new guy, yeah.
The last new guy.
And you said that that's when you had to do the photo shoot after the tryout, and then you went to the studio barely knowing the songs.
So Psycho Radio was pretty much already written. I think at my audition, he threw some of them at me. Like he was like, we did the ones that I had learned, and then we like jammed through like Tonight and like Restless and a couple of those songs.
Yeah.
Just him kind of throwing down the rhythm and being like, what would you do here? Like jump in. So we did some of those. And then, we basically broke for Christmas, came back, did the photo shoot because he had to turn in the artwork first. And then we went into the studio. Fiend Force was putting it out. Greg Hetson from Bad Religion, Circle Jerks was going to produce. And I'm just like, again, I would just come out of Fresno, like, middle of nowhere. I'm like, dude, that's Greg from Circle Jerks. This is crazy. Like, we recorded those drums, and I remember recording the drums, and the floor tom wasn't working correctly, or he didn't like the tone. And he was like, oh, well, let's just grab another floor tom. And I was like, well, this is all I have. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. Like, Pennywise is recording next door. We'll just borrow that floor tom. I'm like, what? Like,
yeah, you're like 21. This is all new.
Exactly.
You're in a studio.
Like, Bad Religion's here. That's Pennywise's like Tom. Like, I don't know. I'm like texting my friends from back home. Like, dude, like, we're not even texting.
The text is taking forever because
I'm like T9 texting like, help. I don't know what's happening.
What studio was this?
I have no idea where I was. We were out in Orange County.
Was it with Dave Irish?
No, this is before Dave Irish. So yeah, Dave Irish shows up the next record. We worked with Dave Irish for the first time.
Okay, so when we played the Toe Tags track, you weren't on that album. We mentioned the Rezurex. We played a track on the Volcanics one, but I wanted to play something that I kind of listen to all the time that you're on, as far as the Rezurex. Something maybe either Blue Kiss or Untold. Can we do one of those ones?
Either of them.
The one that starts...
Sing you a song, promise that will not take too long. No one
Do you ever get, because this happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, can you play this song? And you're just like, oh, I don't think I can.
An older one, right?
Yeah, and all of a sudden, like, you just pick up the instrument and you're like, damn, I just went off like just muscle memory here.
Yeah, it's like we always used to have the joke in the Scarred that like if you play a song for a tour, it's in your head for life. Like it's you just play it so many nights over and over that you're like, oh yeah, like the Untold. I'm like, couldn't hum the song to you, but if Daniel started playing it, I got you.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because that's one of the ones that like always go on repeat because I like the intro.
Oh yeah, dude. There's some cool, like Psycho Radio is so fun to make. Like, I mean, but again, it was like to your point. Like, I practiced them a couple times and went into the studio and did it. I mean, here's a Psycho Radio fun fact: is the song "Not From Heaven" on that.
Yeah, it's on here for sure. The Untold. You're making me doubt myself.
Okay, I do. Yes, Not From Heaven wasn't finished when we recorded it. It was the last thing we did. Am I right?
Yeah, it's Not From Heaven.
Yes. So Not From Heaven was not.
I'm fact checking you the whole time.
I know. No, please, someone should, because I clearly don't know where I am half the time.
No, I'm joking.
Not From Heaven was not finished when we recorded. It was the last thing we did. All of the drums on Psycho Radio, by the way, were recorded in one day. We had enough money for the studio for one day. Recorded the whole thing. Not From Heaven, last one we do. It's like 11 o'clock at night.
We're almost done.
Daniel's in the mixing booth, basically talking me through the song. I would just be playing the beat and he'd go, and chorus. 1, 2, 3, 4. And he would signal me and I'd do a fill and switch to the other thing. And like that song was basically put together as like,
damn.
Yeah, dude.
That's rough.
It was like wild. Like he was like, this is kind of what the chorus is. This is kind of what the verse is. Just get the drums down and then I'll like finish it over the top of it. I was like, okay.
And going back to what we were saying earlier, you're 21. This is all new to you.
Yeah, all new to me.
Professional studio. I'm pretty sure before that, were you a fan of the Rezurex, or was this a new band to you? Because were you into psychobilly back then?
I was into psychobilly, not super into it. Like I was not super in the scene because again, there wasn't a lot of it in Northern California. It was like kind of not a thing. I remember getting into Necromantics in high school and be like, oh, this, I don't know how, I must have found it through like a Hellcat compilation. I was like, oh, this is really cool. I'm into this. I had to like hunt that album down because you couldn't just, and it was like the big one, like Return of the Living Dead, the blue one. Big record.
Oh, yeah.
You couldn't find it in Stockton. I had to like go into San Francisco. I was in San Francisco.
You couldn't just go on YouTube and get the whole album back then.
Couldn't get it on YouTube. You couldn't order the thing.
There's no Spotify.
No Spotify, no nothing. And so it was hard to find, so you just didn't have access to a lot of those records. But what was really weird about Rezurex in particular is when I joined, I knew the name because they had just put a song on Give 'Em the Boot compilation.
There it goes. I was trying to remember the compilation.
One that, right? So he sent me the thing, and I was like, oh, wait, I know this song. This is that song on the Give 'Em the Boot album. I rehearsed with them, do the whole thing. I started playing with the band for about a month. I'm sitting there looking at Daniel and hearing the songs, and I'm like, hey, did this band used to have a different name? And he's like, yeah, we used to be called Lobo Negro. I was like, holy shit, man. I saw you play, because I had seen the Necromantics play in San Francisco like years prior, and Lobo Negro was the opener. Daniel wasn't doing the makeup yet. He just had like a crazy mohawk.
The blue hair.
And the blue, had pretty much just probably stopped playing with Calavera.
Oh, Calavera, okay.
And I remember seeing this band called Lobo Negro open up for Necromantics in San Francisco, and then fast forwarding a few years later, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm playing all these songs. I'm like, these songs seem familiar. Like, I think I've seen this. Did you, like, was this different? He's like, oh yeah, Lobo Negro. I'm like, dude, I saw you. Like, it was awesome. Very weird, though. A lot of weird tangents from me today.
It's okay. Did you also work at Jet Rag?
I did not. Right. I did not work at Jet Rag. I was a Rezurex member that did not work at Jet Rag.
What is
What's
jet rag?
Oh, yeah, I was about to say
Jet
what's
rag?
jet rag.
You don't know what jet rag is?
Oh yeah, Jet Rag is like a vintage clothing store in Hollywood.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
okay.
That guy,
Yeah.
he did work
Yeah,
there. I remember
dude.
seeing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
I
man.
remember Daniel worked at a vintage store clothing place,
Jet Rag.
but I didn't know what it was called.
I didn't know
Yeah.
what it's called. I've been there before.
It was in Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it was like I had just moved. I didn't know, where anything was. He'd be like, "Come meet me at my work. Like I'll drop off a CD to you. Come to Jet Rag." I was like, okay." Like trying to find my way. Again, no cell phone, so no GPS. I would like go on Google Maps at home, write directions in a book, like write directions on paper because I didn't have a printer.
Wait, it wasn't Google Maps. It was probably like MapQuest.
Yeah,
MapQuest.
You're right. You got like a MapQuest, a Yahoo Maps. I'd like write them down, and then I'd drive. And if I got lost along the way, I was just screwed. I was just lost. No
Yeah.
idea where I was. Luck would have to carry me back to Canoga Park.
I used to write all the directions and then zoom in on the map and then take a picture or print that out.
Yeah, yeah.
And then a one of like, the whole thing printed out.
Yeah, dude, it was brutal. Like I can't describe enough how funny these early days were. That first Scarred tour, we had a Thomas guide. Like we still had Thomas guides and being like,
The books?
yeah. We had a Thomas guide in the van and be like, we're going to this city. And you'd like figure it out that morning on someone's couch. Okay, I guess we got to go to here, to here, to here. And then we'll get to wherever. I remember us putting a star on the map where Buc-ee's was.
Oh, I
Buc-ee's
want to go
been-
to Buc-ee's.
Buc-ee's has been around that long. Like we were like, that's where Buc-ee's is in our
Wow.
Thomas
For
guide.
those who don't know what Buc-ee's is, you want to give them
A
heads-
famous, they're
Yeah.
like, I
Sorry.
feel like now they've
I
gotten
think they're
even
really
more,
popular right now.
Yeah.
right? They're
Okay.
killing it on TikTok.
So
It's like
scratch
Bass
that.
Pro Shop.
Yeah. It's like now a very famous roadside pit stop.
When we brought up Jeffree Star last time,
Yeah,
I didn't
man.
know who he was. Like I had to look him up again. I didn't realize how famous he was.
Yeah.
So you played drums for Jeffree Star because
Yeah.
I told you before when you left the Rezurex.
Yeah.
I was speaking to Kyle. I'm like, what happened to Ben? Because we're at a show, you weren't there. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, he's in some band, some guy with makeup.
Yeah,
That's all I
yeah.
knew. That's all I knew what Jeffree Star was until
Yeah.
I didn't know he was a YouTube makeup guy.
Now,
and,
he ends up, so now it's weird because he's more famous than he was back then, but he's famous as like owning a makeup company and having a YouTube show.
yeah, and he was a musician.
But then going back 15 years ago, he this is again me trying to understand this. This is like me always paraphrasing other people's stories that I vaguely understand. Jeffrey he was one of the first people who got like MySpace famous. It was like him, Tila Tequila, and a couple, right? Like he's on the original MySpace records, like compilation as picture, right? So he was one of the first people to get like internet famous. So his version of internet famous, like Tila Tequila kind of became like a reality star or whatever that whole thing is. He became a musician. So he put together a band and he was doing like this was kind of like the electro pop era, like the sleaze pop era kind of things. So he had this electro pop band he put together and, it kind of blew up independently because again, your early days internet, right? So it kind of blows up. He is doing Warped Tour. So he's like really big in the Warped Tour scene, all this kind of stuff. I wasn't super aware of him because in the time all of this is happening, I'm touring with the Scarred and Rezurex. So, like the psychobilly scene is so much its own thing. Like what's happening at Warped Tour is not on your radar at all. Cause like you're over here.
Yeah.
And so Rezurex was like between tours and I get sent this ad that's like, hey, Jeffree Star, this guy is hiring a new drummer, needs a tour drummer, has all these dates booked, whatever. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. I like look him up and he's like, his numbers are in the millions. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, whoa, like this is wild. Like he's super cool, like super androgynous, makeup, cool style, like just such a presence. He'd just gotten off a Warped Tour. I'm like, geez, like this is like a kind of a big deal. So I reach out to him. I'm like, hey, heard you need a drummer. I meet with him. We meet at, for anybody in the Valley, we met at I don't think this is open anymore. Pitfire Pizza in North Hollywood on Lancashire. You know the spot. We meet at Pitfire Pizza. And yeah, I'm like, hey, what's up, dude? And like, I'm a drummer. And he's like, cool. Like, he's kind of internet famous already. So he's like, cool. Like, what do you, like, about my, like, fame precedes him a little bit. He's like, so what do you know about my music or me? And I was like, hey, man, I'm just going to be really honest with you. Like, I'm kind of just like a punk rocker, dude. Like, I don't know much about your music, but I don't mean that in a bad way. If I'm being honest, dude, if you're not in the Clash or Minor Threat, I probably have no idea.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right. And he's like, I think maybe appreciated my like forthrightness. I was like, I don't know. But I was like, but if you need a drummer, like I heard you need one, I'm like pretty on it. He's like, all right, cool. Like, you have some videos of you playing? I was like, yeah. He's like, all right, like, you're sounds good. He's like, how do I get you in my band? I'm like, I mean,
so you probably did you have like, was he looking for a particular style or look too? Because I mean, obviously with him, there's a look you gotta go with too.
Yeah, like I don't know. We all like he is the star. Like he is the band, right?
Yeah.
So this kind of gets back to the like rotating cast the character guys.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like if you're him, your remit is kind of the same as like a lot of other bands I've played in, where it's like we just need some like sort of cool looking dudes in the background in black.
Yeah.
Like I'm your guy. You know what I mean? Like nobody is I'm not pulling attention away from anybody back there. Yeah, right? Like they will be firmly focused on Jeffrey, don't you worry. I will be in the back with some tattoos and a cool haircut, wearing my black jeans and black sleeveless shirt. There he is. So I think it was like a, I guess I fit the bill. You know what I mean? But like he didn't need another. If you're that guy, you don't need another presence on stage. Like you need a backup band, right? So I think that's sort of where I come into the picture.
So right now we're almost at 2 hours. You actually have to play a gig today, right?
I do.
All right. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to tighten up. I want to talk before you go about the management thing, because Frank had no idea that you managed hip hop bands.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I look at you, I look at your story. I mean, not look at your story. I hear your story. I would never imagine you in the same office as Snoop Dogg. It
was it was an interesting.
How did you fall into that, and why did you leave?
Yeah. So I, I said I had joined Jeffrey's band, and that was like really, really moving quickly.
And that went on for
Yeah, I was with him for like I think like 2-ish years, and it was just heavy touring. Like I was on the road the whole time, around and around and around. He had just put out a record that was doing really well, so we're like doing the like headed to the major label trajectory, right? It's really picking up. And so we finish all this touring, and then he is gonna sign to a major label. And Akon, you guys remember Akon, right?
Yeah, he was in everything at one point.
Yeah, Akon,
featuring Akon, yeah,
reaches out and is like, I want to produce the next record. I'm gonna make the next album. I'm gonna manage you. Cool. So he's like, this is it. Like,
did he want to be featured in it?
Off it goes, right? And so Jeffrey's like, cool, I got to go make my album with Akon. It's obviously dance music, so he doesn't need a live drummer in the studio. Like, I'm just a live thing, right? Like, I'm for the live shows, but we're going to have dance beats on the record. Okay. I don't need the guitar, because we were like a drummer, a guitar player, and a bass player, a keyboard player. But you don't need any of us, because Akon's just going to make beats, and there it is. So he's like, we're taking time off touring. I'll call you when I need you. We're like, okay. So the rest of the band was like, young and in Hollywood, like, cool, well, we're going to go have fun and do whatever. I get like bored within like a week. And I'm like, okay, well, like I'm off from touring. I have a college degree. Like I should probably do something. I was like, let me, towards the end of my touring with Jeffrey, I was playing drums, but I was also kind of like production managing and tour managing and like keeping the ship on the road. So I was like, there's a skill set kind of developing there. Let me see what I can do with this. And then that'll bridge the gap until he's ready for me to go back out on the road, right? Because if you're not on the road, you're not getting any money. So I find a management firm that's looking for interns and has some like entry-level positions open. I reach out to them. Hey, here's my resume. I basically take my drumming resume and delete all the drums and just mention like, yeah, I'm like production managing this tour. I'm doing this, which I was doing, right? But I just sort of ignore the drum part because they don't want to hear about that. And yeah, they're like, all right, well, come in. You can intern for 3 months, and then if we like you, then we'll hire you. Okay, sure. Come in, start interning. They're a hip-hop company, super West Coast hip-hop company. So they're basically a company built around Snoop Dogg. So it's Snoop's company. And at the time, it's very super West Coast hip-hop. So I'm like this punk kid, and it's like Snoop Dogg, DJ Quick, are kind of the two main acts. Yeah, but Daz and Corrupt are around.
And you were Johnny.
And I was Johnny. Yeah, that story. I told you that.
You told me that story in the Volcanics. I want to hear Frank hear it.
So like
I wanted Frank to hear it. Sorry.
Yeah. So this is the Johnny story. This is a callback to previous episodes. So I'm an intern, right? So they're like, and they need me to go out and work a video shoot for Snoop. And so I'm out there all day getting things set up. Snoop Dogg functions on Snoop Dogg time, so he's 3 hours late. And, they give you the intern speech. They're like, listen, you don't talk to the artist. Snoop's coming. You don't talk to the artist. You don't look at the artist. You just fill the candy tray and stand over there. We'll tell you when we need you. Okay, sure. So I'm standing there. Snoop shows up. The line of SUVs shows up. He gets out.
All that smoke.
All the smoke comes billowing out. It's exactly like the music video. For the visual on this, to get to the reference, is like at the time I have like a pompadour, like the Crybaby pompadour. I'm wearing like black skinny jeans, like a shirt, whatever. Punk professional look. I'm standing there. Snoop entourage is coming through. Security. I'm just standing there, like, kind of like looking off into space. And I just see like Dog's shoes, like stops in front of me, turns, looks at me. I look up, biggest smile on his face. He just looks at me, goes, Johnny Depp, and like walks away. And I was like, was that a Crybaby reference from Snoop Dogg? And to that day, I then ended up working for that company for like 5 years. And so I would be around Dogg all the time, and he'd always just like, anytime he saw me, he'd like come into my office and be like, Johnny, how we doing in here? I'm like, all good. All good, Snoop. See you, man. Like, everyone around the office. He's like, Snoop Dogg's one of those guys that like, he is exactly what you want him to be. He is super chill and like he's just around. He's always like smoking weed, shooting the shit with people. Like, he would just come into my office and would just like sit there and be like, what do you, I'd be like listening to Rancid. He'd like walk by my office and just stick his head in and just like scream and headbang and then walk out and be like, what's up, Snoop? But yeah, work for Snoop. And then so in part of that, as I started to sort of work my way up the ranks of the company, I became a tour manager and then a production manager, and then was just basically outright managing artists. So
some of the artists.
Yeah, at like its peak. So my main client was this group called Far East Movement that was like really famous for the song Like a G6. So if you like got drunk to that in college, those are my boys. Those are my dudes. I still talk to them all the time. And we toured the world. Like, I thought I was busy with Jeffrey, and then I was doing those tours, and it was insane. Like, we were on tour. Remember when LMFAO, when that was big, like Party Rock Anthem? So we were doing all those tours. So we were just going around the globe with them. Like, Staples Center, when it was still Staples Center, like arena tours. I think my stat used to be like, for about 3 years, I was not home for more than 2 weeks at a time. Like, I was just constantly gone, out of town, flying wherever. So I managed Far East for a long time, and then after that,
a lot of hotels, a lot of planes,
a lot of hotels, a lot
lifestyle,
of planes,
a lot of takeout.
Yeah, a lot of takeout. And then I managed a guy named Riff Raff, who was like really famous on Vine. He was on the show like From G's to Gents.
Yeah, it's the dude that got the grill. That's That's the shark grill. You know what I'm talking about? He's like, oh, when I get big,
I want to blow up and act like I don't know nobody. Yeah, so I worked with Riff Raff.
He became a wrestler.
Yeah, I worked with Riff Raff for a year, and then I was quickly approaching like I was in my early 30s, like I was like about to turn 30, 31. And I was just exhausted. I think I did it at the right time, but like it takes a toll on you, man. You're just never home. You don't see anybody. You're constantly hyper focused on getting them to the Greek, basically. And you just don't have a lot of time to think about anything. Like I said, my drums sat in a storage space, someone's garage in North Hollywood for 4 years. I didn't even touch them. I didn't even think I'd ever go pick them up again. Like I was just like, I don't know. And we're like, didn't you used to be a drummer? Like, I don't know. I think so at some point, but like, it was so weird at how much I do it now and how much I did it before to think that there was this weird period of time where it just wasn't a thing. Nothing I did.
You've lived a crazy life. Like you've had a lot of different experiences.
Seasons. Yeah, there's been a lot of seasons of the TV show, I guess.
Yeah, oh my God. And like you look so healthy. That's why we're asking about your dietary thing earlier when we brought food. Like,
I don't have any really dietary restrictions. I do go to the gym a lot more than I used to. That would be if I would describe like drumming in your late 30s. Everyone's like, man, you play a lot of shows.
All those years and Elvis didn't call him.
Yeah.
All those years. It was all the... yeah, those years.
Elvis. Yeah.
Elvis. See, that's a callback right there. See,
yeah.
So that's put in the context of that, right?
Yeah.
I go Rezurex, Jeffree Star, managing rappers, leaving that, going into the tech industry, getting back into drumming, and after all of that, I get a call that's like, hey man, how you been? I'm like, well, I don't know.
Dude, that is the beginning of your fucking movie. If
It's
there's like
so
a Netflix
good.
movie,
Yeah,
you're gonna
it's
call
like
from
a
wow.
flashback.
What if it's like it's gonna be you coming home from the airport, sitting on the couch going, man, that was a ride. Then you get a phone call, Elvis,
like,
3 Bad Jacks.
Yes, yeah. It was like that, Again, and by the time he calls me too, like I at that point been with Erica for like 2 years, and we had just like moved into our first apartment together.
Did your wife Erica know about this previous life of yours?
She did. She does. She was not around. Like she understands it.
Does she know about the mohawk, the pink
and
mohawk?
Gets the story. Yeah, she knows the pink mohawk. But yeah, it's such a different context than she met me in. That like,
dude, I hope Snoop shows up to your wedding. I really do.
I don't. That would be the Snoop camp is still. I don't think. What's interesting is that like Snoop is not managed by that company anymore. That company doesn't exist anymore. It's very weird. I left and then it all fell apart. No, I'm just kidding. Ted, don't come after me. I left and it was around for another 2-3 years and then kind of disbanded. It was really busy for a while there because I said when I started it was like Snoop and DJ Quick, but then we ended up signing like, do you guys remember YG? Like a big gangster rapper from Compton.
Yeah.
So YG, we managed that first YG record. We did that whole album while I was there. We managed Busta Rhymes for a while I was there. We did a couple records for like Macy Gray. Far East Movement was doing really well. We had Riff Raff. Ty Dolla $ign was around. I mean, it was like really like it was the beginning of the Snoop and Martha Stewart stuff. Like it was like a really crazy time where you're just like in the office and just like Paris Hilton's there.
And I just picture you just telling Elvis this on your phone.
I know, yeah, exactly. And then Elvis calls me. He's like, "So, what have you been up to?" I'm like,
"Wow,
I have no idea."
And now you're hanging out with us,
dude. I've been hanging out with you for 17 years, man. And through all of it, I've been hanging out with you, man.
Oh man! All right, but so let's just wrap it up now. So right now you're just you're mainly doing Dogula. Like I said, I want to keep going, but you got to get to Long Beach.
No, you don't. Like I My schedule's fine. Whatever you
Okay.
need. Yeah.
So-
if there's other stuff you need,
So you mentioned okay. Well, I want to wrap it up too because and tech. What do you do in tech? Are you still doing anything in tech? I know you mentioned before that.
Yeah. So I work in tech.
The manager side of you still comes out while playing with these bands.
Right. Yeah. Like I was already hyper focused on band business prior to, and then I spent a number of years actually doing it, and then came back to music, and was like, looking around at like the bands I'm in and being like, how we would have done this. This was a Snoop record. Like we could, like bringing even more of that knowledge into it. So it's funny because like with something like the Volcanics, it's just like cool. Like we're just like this like fun surf band from San Gabriel, but like the infrastructure behind it. I'm like, okay, we're doing this, and this is how this all goes.
I was going to say, I noticed once you joined the band, there's
spreadsheet.
Their Instagram, everything. Not only did it go up, but the feel started changing. Like it started becoming more the images that we use, the videos. I'm like, oh, this is looking. Oh, it's probably Ben.
There he is.
It's probably Ben.
Yeah, it's like a fun. The drumming is the main thing, but like I always say like you hire me for the drumming, and then like the surprise is like surprise. Like you've also hired a marketing consultant.
Yeah.
Hooray. So that's that. And then, I started working in the tech industry. I would say like the tech entertainment industry, in like 2016, I think. And so I'd met a lot of people in digital entertainment through managing music. And so I kind of knew a lot of folks in that industry. And so when I started to transition out of the music industry, I'd kind of like reached out to a lot of those contacts and was like, this is kind of what I think I want to do next. Like, how would I get into that, or what can I do there? And so I just kind of started working with companies and like consulting and like doing some stuff. And then eventually it kind of starts to go. So I've worked for a few tech companies. Right now I work in VR predominantly. So I'm working on a lot of like virtual reality projects and like producing a lot of like virtual experiences and stuff, which is like totally again to the like what you've been up to these past years. Like,
oh my god, I didn't even know about the virtual stuff.
Yeah, so basically, I started working in a lot of virtual reality stuff about 2.5 years ago, and it's been a trip, man. Like that's an interesting field that's like really still trying to find its product market fit, like trying to figure out what it is. So it's been really cool to be kind of like, it's very like punk in a way, right? Like we're figuring out how this industry is going to work. It's like DIY. Like we have to put things together ourselves. We got to figure out how we're going to shoot stuff. What is things like, what does a concert look like in virtual reality?
Oh,
nobody knows. I don't know. Like, what could that be? Like,
so there's a concert in Japan. I want to see it. I can't afford to go. Yeah, here's some tickets. Let me give me the experience.
Right.
Get me in there.
And no one's ever done that before. So you're like, how do you shoot it? What do you shoot it like? You're like, I don't know. We're just gonna try a bunch of things and we're gonna figure it out. So that's like the day job. And then I go home and have to rehearse with like 50 bands and run a dog company, and I'm very tired.
Yeah. And man, I'm just blown away. Like I said, I knew you were a busy guy.
Yeah. I always say like the adage is like, if there's a will, there's a way. And mine is like, if there's a way, there's a will. Like if people reach out to me about shows, if I can figure out how to get from point A to point B, all right, I'm down. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, I'll be in Spain, but then I land on Monday. So if you want to play Wednesday, we can track Tuesday, and then I'll do like, if I can figure out how to get it in the schedule, like I'm down. I don't think a lot about being like, I think I need a day off. Like that's not really something, that's not a priority for me.
Yeah.
I'll fill every second.
At least for now, right? Maybe eventually.
Maybe it changes eventually. I hope not. Like, I don't know. You only got one crack at this whole thing, right?
No,
like,
yeah.
I don't want to be like, I don't know. I'll take a day off to watch TV. Like, nah, fuck that, man. Like, let's go. Like, let's go do something.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are officially at 2 hours.
We did it.
I
did it. You listened to me ramble for 2 hours. Congrats.
Sorry, guys. Yeah. No. I say I go for 90 minutes. If I get 2 hours, I'll take it.
Cool. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, hopefully there's something in there.
No, there definitely will be. I want to thank you again for coming on. Like I said, we had a couple of mishaps. I had to reschedule. That pinata's been in my closet for a while. I have some extra space now.
That's awesome. How are you feeling? How's your foot?
Oh, my foot's better.
You're
yeah.
Good. Okay.
Last time I had when I tried doing this last time, I had stitches, and I figured I was a couple days off surgery. I'll do it. I'll make Frank do the carry heavy lifting. I didn't realize how strong the painkillers were. I never took Percocets before, so I was on the moon.
That would have been a hilarious interview, though.
I was on the moon. So
he was on the moon.
And I felt bad because it was a couple of days. Hey, dude, I can't make it. I sent him a picture of a bloody cast. He's like, it's okay, dude. It's okay.
No, yeah, you're good, dude. Yeah, when you messaged me, I was again, and we've talked about my schedule. You were like, hey, I can't do Saturday. I'm like, oh, an afternoon off. Like, that's fine. You're good. Don't you worry about it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you're like booking a flight, like on your phone while you're texting me.
Don't worry about it at all. But yeah, no, I'm glad we were able to hang out and like said, Dogula. It's a really small little operation, and we're trying to do good things. So we appreciate you, taking the time to like give us a plug on the show, like, and come check it out, come help some dogs with us, man.
You heard the man. Just look up Dogula, look up Ben if you need a drummer. If there's a way, there's a will. Is that?
Yeah, exactly. If there's a way, there's a will. Let's do it, man.
All right, thank you so much for coming on. This is Ben on Beer with Bear.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.